There was something you said in there about how he sort of wears a mask, and every now and again it slips and he gets in trouble. I know you haven't spent much time in his company,
Yeah.
but I know you FaceTime every now and again. There's a few DMs here and there, right?
Yeah.
Do you think you've ever encountered the true Anthony Joshua?
Yes, I have. Yeah, I have definitely encountered the true Anthony Joshua.
What's he like?
Not a nice person, just a sort of a bully. Someone who thought he was gonna sort of put the bluff on me. And that's what type of person he is. I don't think you need to be a rocket scientist to figure that out. I once had the opportunity to see the real Femi. He phoned me up one day in a mood to say he was going to do this to me and do that to me, and it didn't fare too well for him, to be fair, let's just say that.
That's just a phone call that you've had a bit of back and forth, was it?
No, just out of the blue. Like he phoned up Coogan for my number one day, and he decided to give me a call, like a telling off call. And I don't think he liked what he heard on the end of it, so yeah, there'd be no telling me off anyway.
Well, give us a sample of what he heard on that phone call. What did you tell him?
I just told him the truth, and the truth always hurts. Nothing will ever cut you deeper than the truth, because the truth will always set you free. And sometimes people hide behind the truth. They hide behind smoke and mirrors and lies, and they love it that way. But the truth will always set everyone free, and it cuts deepest. Like an alcoholic doesn't ever want to be told he's an alcoholic. A druggie doesn't never want to be told they're druggies. They always like to just get away from it. The truth hurts. If you're a bad person, you don't want to be told you're a bad person. You just want to be left alone, do your own thing, and get on with being a bad person. So the truth always cuts deep. No matter if you're good, bad, or indifferent, the truth will always cut the deepest.
Do you think he's a bad person? Do you think he's a bad person?
I don't know him as a personal thing, but you know, I don't know him, don't want to know him. I've got no time for him. Just
What's good, family? So mash the like button, subscribe, and lick off the bell. So we just heard there from your man's TYSON Theory, aka lieson. Scary. Now, it's interesting. As we all know, lieson earned his name recently when he lied about the whole C19 fiasco. But I find it quite ironic because this whole little charade we just listened to for 90 seconds, it was a shocker. Bearing in mind, these are the words coming from the mouth of a man called lieson. Do you understand? Oh, AJ, not a good man. Oh, he lies. Oh, all this kind of stuff. I don't know about you, man, yeah, but listen to what he's saying. He's speaking in riddles. Did you actually get anything? Oh, AJ, not a good man. But then the interviewer says to him, well, what did he say? Oh, well, you know, he was speaking in circles and riddles, wasn't he? At one point, he starts talking about alcohol and substance abuse. Have you ever heard something so mad? And then the man says to him at the end, oh, TYSON, do you think AJ's a bad person then? Oh, I don't know him. Don't want to know him. You just spent 2 minutes saying about how bad AJ is, and you described this really weird, obscure call he allegedly gave you, and that one call told you how bad he was, even though you couldn't tell us what was said on the phone call. And then at the end you say you don't know him, and you don't want to know him. So I thought you said you knew who he was and he's a bad guy, and you got his number. And it's easy to see. You said, oh, it's pretty easy to see someone's true colours. But then you say you don't know him. This just sums up, for all you goofy lieson theory fans, yeah. Now you know, if you didn't already know, if you really thought he actually had C19, now you know why his name is lieson. Because he stays lying. And what frustrates me the most, particularly recently, is the media. Really, what's the word? The media. Oh, I can't think of the word. But basically, the media are gassing him up. And not only gassing him up, they're actually giving him a good support unit for his lies, if that makes sense. They've just spent 2 minutes, essentially, and my opinion is, I don't care either way, if that makes sense. If AJ was a truly bad person, I wouldn't know any different, if that makes sense. I don't know him from Adam. All I can say is what I've seen. So fair enough, if Tyson Fury genuinely gave an account of some information which implied that AJ's a bad person, fair enough. Did he do that in this 2 minutes? You be honest with yourself. All he did was talk in riddles and talk in circles. And the media sits there and just jerks Tyson Fury off. Oh, Fury, tell us. Oh, he's a bad person. What's wrong with these guys? And what gets me is, yeah, check this out. You best believe AJ will sit down with these same goofies, yeah, and act like nothing's happened. And that's where I've lost respect for AJ, if that makes sense. There seems to be, like, AJ can just sit down with everyone. He like, I'm sure there'll be some AJ fans who say, oh, he don't hold grudges. Well, I don't know about holding grudges. For me now, it's just a bit muggy. These people Tyson Fury and John Fury, they can say whatever they want and no one holds them accountable for it. Fury, you just made up a whole little 2-minute story there. Completely made up. And it's obvious for anyone. It's completely made up. Just talking in circles he is. Oh well, you know, AJ wasn't happy when I told him about himself. I told him he wasn't a real man. What? You said AJ rang you and he tried to say some horrible things, but then AJ wasn't happy with how he left her. Cool. Fury, do you listen to yourself back? You obviously don't, because anyone who's got any IQ knows you're a big muppet. Don't get me wrong. Fury's always been a big muppet, but in this particular story, like, does anyone give this any credibility, genuinely? Even for you Fury fans out there, do you? Tell a lie. I know what you man are like. You man stay with Fury hanging at your backside, so you man can't give a credible opinion. But anyone who's not biased here, does anyone believe a shred of what he's just rambled on about? Because it was really a good rambling, wasn't it? Let's be real now. I've never heard of so much BS in all my days. And we're used to, as boxing fans, we're used to listening to BS all day, especially from Lieson. But this for me was a top 5, if not top 3, if not top 1. This was the record breaker for Lieson Fury's BS. Oh, AJ's a bad man. AJ's a bad person. Wait a minute. You want to talk about... Mr. Lieson Fury wants to talk about a bad person, do you? What about you lying about your donations to charity? Oh, and by the way, this is what gets me, yeah? What gets me is, like I said, at the moment, the reporter or the interviewer or the media establishment have no problem jumping on an interview with Lieson Fury and saying to him, oh look, Fury, AJ's a bad person. Did you hear it? Did you hear the man? Did you hear the interviewer? Oh, Fury, tell us about how bad of a person AJ is. And it's about time AJ starts standing up. Because if I was AJ, yeah, I'd say, listen, that goofy giving that interview, you can go sling your hook. But you best believe AJ won't be doing that. He'll be like, oh, so great to meet you. Thanks for mugging me off, but I'm so happy to be here. I'm sick of it as well. I don't get it. But anyway, what I was going to say was, this media establishment, this MTK cabaldons, yeah, this goofy here, interviewing Tyson Fury and gassing him up about the, we just listened to the Gary Neville interview and you said that AJ's a real bad person. Can you give us some more info on that? Tell us how bad he is and all this kind of stuff. Meanwhile, you media establishment dons have no problem begging it and bad-mouthing AJ's brand and name, yeah. Meanwhile, you have no problem bad-mouthing AJ's brand and name when really it's all hearsay, if that makes sense. These rumours or this pure hearsay BS that this interviewer is trying to drudge up, no one credible, no third-party source has ratified anything that's been said. or that this call even happened. And Fury himself, the man making the allegations, Fury, didn't even make clear what was said. All he made clear was that the call was so bad. The things AJ said were so bad. It's obvious he's a bad person. Didn't say what was said, despite being prompted, etc., etc. So something completely unverified, and the story doesn't sound credible whatsoever. So on the basis of 10 out of 10, on the basis of a 100% hearsay and 100% uncredible story, this media organisation is happy to ride on that AJ is a bad person and this, that, the other. But yet, we have an absolutely credible, absolutely factual lie from Tyson Fury that he was going to give his whole purse to charity, his whole purse to the homeless and to the firefighters. And guess what? This media organisation and that goofy interviewer, oh, you missed that question, didn't you? You had no problem rabbiting on and trying to dig deeper into AJ's bad character based on a hearsay made-up story from Lieson Fury, but yet, absolute fact, Fury didn't donate his purse he said he would, which for me, I don't know, I'll put it out to you, man. What do you think is a better representation of someone's character? Going around shilling about how you're going to give your whole purse to charity and not doing it, or some alleged hearsay story of a phone call? You man tell me, which is worse? Oops. So why aren't new media goofies investigating that, rather than investigating some fake phone call that never happened? And that's just one example. The other example, more recently, why aren't you man investigating the fact that Lieson Fury was shouting, "Oh, football's coming home, oh, it's coming home, oh." He was shouting that on Wednesday night, and then it was touch and go within 24 hours that he was barely able to pull through from C19 and had to pull out of the fight, but then was pictured in the casino and at the car lot within another 48 hours. Oh, but then was clean on the Monday or Tuesday. Where was your investigation into that? Where was your questioning of Lieson Fury on that? Oops. You had no problem sitting there questioning Tyson about how bad AJ's character is and trying to get more insight into some fake phone call. But yet, real questions, real evidence, real things the fans want to know about, real actions of character, i.e. lying about something and faking all the details around it, all of a sudden, you goofy media shills ain't got nothing to say. Not one goofy media fruity has asked any questions to Fish Eyes Warren, to Bob Arum, or Lieson Fury, or anyone for that matter. They haven't even questioned AJ about it. Why haven't the media come up to AJ and said, "AJ, what do you think about Lieson Fury lying about his C19? What do you think about Lieson Fury lying about his charity donations?" And what gets me is, Dillian White and AJ have both posted the whole fake charity thing, but yet none of these interviewers have picked up on it. What's going on? Because they was quite happy to pick up on some fake looking ass phone call, allegedly, which didn't happen, which is completely... The story that Fury tells here has no credibility whatsoever. But you man was jumping all over it, rock hard for it. And the interviewer Goofy was giggling along. It's a bit like John Fury the other day. That muppet giggling along with John Fury when John Fury was saying, oh, bums need not apply, only real men. Oh. And the interviewer was saying, yeah, Mickey Theo, yeah, bums, don't ring his phone. What? John, you are the bum. You're not in Evander Holyfield's and Mike Tyson's level. You're a muppet. But yet the media don't want to question John, why have you shit your pants when it came to Mickey Theo? Not one man said that. You've all just sit there tickling him off. And we can't blame the media, to be fair. Because why can't we blame them? Because they're all bottoms. Yeah, they're all subs. Just look at them all. All of them look like fangirls, truth be known. They used to, back in the 80s and 90s, yeah, there used to be a kind of a contingent of groupies. Women, yeah, would go around looking to get with famous rappers and famous rock stars. That was back in the 80s. Guess what? In 2021, you don't really have groupies so much. Now, you have men running around begging for famous boxers to hang out their backside. That's what happens now. I'm sorry, there ain't no more groupies. I can't remember the last time. I can't remember the last time I watched a boxing show and saw a bunch of female groupies begging for whatever. Never seen it. What we have seen is a whole bunch of male shills like these dudes, this man interviewing, begging for their favourite fighter to push last week's dinner back in for them. That's all we've seen. 100%. And it's shocking. But ultimately, the problem is, people, I'm frustrated, as you can probably hear. But ultimately, what it comes down to Team AJ. Because why do they let these kind of things slide? Why aren't they staying on Fury's neck? They allow this kind of slander of their own name, but they ain't doing no counter-ops as such. And I guess some people will say, well, he don't care and he's not bothered. Well, that's fair enough, I'm bothered. So, Team AJ can be unbothered as they want. I'm bothered, so whatever. I just don't think. I think there's a better way of doing things, and this ain't it. There should be an official offensive. There should be an operation offensive. Slay Lieson Scary. Stay on his neck. Hashtag stay on Lieson Fury's neck. Operation Lieson Scary. That's what it should be called. Hashtag stay on your neck. Something like that. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? Team AJ should be on some operation right now. Instead, we sit here and all we ever hear is gas from Lieson Scary. That's all we hear. And then maybe once in a blue moon. I mean, the worst thing is we actually have to hear AJ shilling for Fury at sometimes. Oh no, I know Fury's a real fighting man. He'll fight anyone. He's not scared to get hit. That was what we heard in the Gary Neville video. I kid you not. Couldn't believe it. Meanwhile, your man Fury making lies up on the phone about some goofy phone call by which he can share no details of it. Did you man not find that odd? He talks about this real vicious phone call which proved to him that AJ's a bad person, but he couldn't tell us one word that was said. And the worst thing is, which shows the shillery of these media cats, yeah? They didn't even double down and say, well, wait a minute, Fury, you've said that AJ's a bad person because of this phone call. Can you give us any information about what was actually said? They didn't even press him on that. They just rolled over and accepted, okay, we'll just take your word for it that AJ's a bad person even though you couldn't tell us any details. Wow. Don't worry, we'll just ride with it anyway. Since you've said it, it's good enough that we can believe it as fact. The biggest liar in the sport, and you're taking what he says as gospel. No resistance. Wow, you're down bad. And that's what I've already told you, man. Listen, any of these media dons, yeah? The YB wants you badly, 100%. It's about time some of you, man, step up and let's get it. Let's run it. The YB verse, in fact, that goofy there, and anyone else you know, both on the same night, back to back. I'll smoke that goofy, and then they can roll the next one in, 100%. Oh, YB talks too much. Listen, let's run it then. Get in my DMs. What about that? Get in the DMs and we'll see who's going to run what. Because all I see is a bunch of neeks, truth be known. Whole bunch of neeks. Oh, Tyson. Oh, yeah, mate, Tyson. Oh, tell us about AJ, a bad person. Like I said, I don't even care about whether AJ's a bad person or not. Couldn't care less. I'm just saying, for me, it's the person who's saying it. AJ may be the worst person in history, but taking it from this muppet,